There have been persistent rumors for many years that famous people, significant corporations, and other influential figures are all involved in a global conspiracy to dominate humanity and shape its mentality. Most of the time, this movement takes the form of the famous Illuminati, an organization reportedly dedicated to total domination over all of humanity. But who are the Illuminati, and what do they really want? The Latin word illuminatus, which means enlightened, is where the name Illuminati truly derives from. The name would develop from the idea of self-enlightenment through knowledge, to denote the release from ignorance of man through education and reason. But it all began with one man who had a deep-seated hatred for his superiors. Adam Weishaupt, who was born in 1748, was hired in 1773 as a professor of canon law at the University of Ingolstadt. In reality, canon law refers to the rules and regulations set by a religious authority in order to regulate a religious organization. Weishaupt was a specialist in church law, but was not a member of the clergy himself. In a university that was mostly managed by clerics, and not just any clergy, but jesuits, this might be a little of an issue. The Jesuit order was founded in the 16th century with Pope Paul VI's blessing. Their major aim was to evangelize the world, with a concentration on education and fostering cooperation among various Christian groups. The SEAL Team 6 of Christianity, Jesuits were instructed to expect to travel to any location and face hardship in order to aid the underprivileged and uninformed. But since they were a little bit too brilliant at what they did, the Jesuits soon started to annoy the European powers. In many colonial regions, Jesuits formed unique settlements and refused to allow the people under their care to be enslaved as local governments and businessmen wanted. Slave labor was essential to the economies of remote colonies. Thus, Jesuits quickly acquired a bad reputation for impeding economic development. It should be mentioned that Jesuits weren't wholly against slavery. You have to keep in mind that this was a period when slavery was a practice that was common and accepted, and white Europeans themselves had been held as slaves only a few hundred years prior. However, Jesuits disapproved of the cruel treatment slaves received and thought it unnecessary to treat them like animals. Nothing, not even religion, can obstruct economic progress. So Pope Clement XIV ordered the dissolution of the Jesuit order in 1773. However, the Jesuits continued to hold sway in many areas, including the University of Ingolstadt, where Adam Weishaupt was a professor. Under attack from all sides, the Jesuits who controlled the institution attempted to suppress any staff who were not clergy, including Weishaupt himself. Weishaupt was frustrated by what he perceived to be out-of-date beliefs, so he turned to Freemasonry for help. However, at this point, the Freemason order had changed from being a day club for privileged kids interested in philosophy to one for bored middle-aged men. Unhappy, Weishaupt made up his own cooler club that only his closest friends or those he deemed deserving could join. Weishaupt founded a secret new society to disseminate Enlightenment ideas, and initially 6 to 9 of his closest friends joined. The Illuminati didn't want to liberate man from religion. Instead, they wanted to change how religion was practiced and imposed. According to Weishaupt, people should be able to choose between science and religion as collaborators in defining the universe, rather than as rivals. The original Illuminati had 3 levels of membership: novice, minerval, and illuminated minerval. Minerva, the Roman goddess of wisdom, is referenced in the word minerval. The only issue was that the authorities were not really interested in such a far-reaching objective for the time being, which was to establish a state of liberty and moral equality. How could commoners be taken advantage of for personal benefit if they were free after all? Even today, proponents of free market capitalism struggle with this concept. Weishaupt developed a number of elaborate rituals to be used at Illuminati meetings. Heavily influenced by Freemasonry, or really just openly gripping it off. Members were given code names based on their favorite historical figures. Weishaupt, for instance, chose the name Spartacus probably because he imagined himself as the leader of an uprising of mentally enslaved people striving for their release. Though it was obvious that more ranks were required as the membership list increased from 9 people to 2,500, Weishaupt established 13 degrees of initiation divided into 3 classes. The uppermost tier of the Illuminati were simply referred to as the kings after the first few tiers of initiates were referred to as Illuminatus Minor, followed by the Illuminatus Dirigents. We're not arguing that Weishaupt went off the deep end, but he did create a secret society where he was king, after setting out to educate people and set them free from oppressive government and dogma. And that clearly illustrates how pointless man is. What did the Illuminati do? Then they made an effort to propagate reformist and Enlightenment ideals among the upper classes of European society, but they were never able to attain any real political clout. Charles Theodore's succession to the Bavarian throne in 1777 marked the peak of this secret society, which he exploited as an opportunity to promote the same liberal ideals they themselves were promoting. As a result of Charles Theodore's weakness as a ruler, Bavarian liberalism was soon resisted by the ruling class. As a result, the Illuminati would eventually face direct persecution because of its liberal ideology, which was seen as a threat to national security. The Illuminati essentially killed itself as its members publicly boasted about the power they held, despite the fact that they actually only had limited control over it, and openly criticized the monarchy, something that only America could afford to do because it was hundreds of miles away from the nearest king. The public began to learn the membership lists of the Illuminati, and the discovery of several Illuminati in positions of modest authority caused a general concern about secret societies within the ruling class. All secret societies were outlawed by Charles Theodore, which prompted Weishaupt to flee for his life. The Illuminati are held responsible for a wide range of issues today, including war, poverty in developing countries, and Harambe, although historically speaking, they were never anything more than a moderately successful boys' club that managed to hold some influence in Bavaria before disbanding. Despite this, there are many conspiracy theories about the modern Illuminati. This is likely because it is more comfortable for people to believe that even when our governments carry out insane or extremely stupid policies, it is because someone is behind the scenes orchestrating a grand scheme, rather than the plain fact that sometimes we elect fools to high office. Hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you enjoyed this video, please like, share, and